I want to say thank you, Fred, first of all, for, being in this live, been a moderator of our group, and a great contributor for a few years now, man. We've known each other for a few years.
It's been a few. A good few, for sure.
Yes. And so, I want to welcome you to our live. And it's always cool that when you could sit down and you could talk to a friend like me and you don't have the nerves of Dave Robinson or Marv Fleming or, some of those guys. And so just to be able to sit here and talk with you, catch up a little bit with family, it's always a good thing.
It's a lot easier. And you know what, for me, especially, I like being on this side of the story and not having to be the one to interview or come up with the good questions or make sure everything's good. I just get to sit here and enjoy the ride.
Awesome. Well, I've always been in awe of you. Who cannot be in awe of you? And yes, we have to touch on, you're the grandson of Fuzzy Thurston. Everybody loves Fuzzy. Everybody does. But like I've been telling people, you're out there and you're creating your own legacy at this point. You have your podcast, you have your website, you have your designs out there. You're doing so much more, and you're doing it on your own, which is incredible. So you're creating your own legacy, and you're doing it and remembering your grandfather, which everybody respects and adores, So in that aspect, it's just totally fun to watch you to continue to grow. And you're creating the following, man. You're creating the following.
Well, thank you. I think my ultimate goal that I've always had when it comes to Pride and Glory, the sweep, anything that I touch, and this is you're going to know what I'm talking about because we have the exact same feeling on this, is not necessarily to build my own legacy, not only just to even keep my grandpa's legacy, but for the younger generations to not forget what has come before us. Why we are the Green Bay Packers, why we are Title Town, why we are the number one franchise, because of what has happened before. And history is a beautiful thing, and we have the best history in all of NFL. I spend a lot of time, schooling my children on it a little bit. I don't want to go too nuts because I'm sure they'll hear a lot of it, but it wasn't until I got older in life and I started to, really delve into it. And I was like, man, this is something to be proud of. This is something that is just incredible. There are no other franchises in the NFL that have such a beautiful history like the Green Bay Packers do. History, not even history, a beautiful past, present, and future. That's what we have. And that's an incredible thing. And I want to make sure that whatever I do and however I do it, that I continue to instill in the younger generations that there's history here.
It's that tradition. It's what made the Packers that they are today. Real quickly, in hearing you speak, Nancy Casey brings up a question. I want to hit you with it real quickly. Normally, I kind of do all the questions at one point, but it's a great question that goes along with what we're talking about right now. She kind of says, hey, Fred, how old were you when you realized you were related to someone famous, as Fuzzy Thurston? How old were you? How much of an impact did that have early on in your life?
It's a great question. I probably can't put a real date on it, but, growing up, Grandpa was Grandpa. First and foremost, he wasn't a football player. He was my grandpa. He was the guy who read me stories. He was the guy who played football with me. He was the guy who came to my football games, picked me up, took me to lunch, did all the things that most normal grandpas do for their grandsons. Mine just happened to be, 6'2", 240 and had 6 championship rings. I watched everybody else kind of in awe of him and be excited to see him and ask for autographs. And, it was always kind of like, okay, that's cool. He's obviously a great guy, but he's just Grandpa. And like I said, it wasn't until I started to really kind of study the game and study the Packers that I was like, oh man, this is a serious situation. This is a huge deal. 6 championships, part of the most infamous play, part of the Packers. Holy crap. And then then you start to kind of notice it and realize it. But the funny thing is that even after I found that all out, he was still grandpa, and that never changed for me. And um, it's why I've always, I've never been one to, openly say right off the bat, hey, my name's Fred Thurston. I'm related to Fuzzy Thurston. It's not you. It's never how I introduce myself. It's never how I want to be known. But I shouldn't say it, never how I want to be known. I'm very proud. But to me, he'll always just be my grandpa. And I'm beyond proud of his accomplishments, what he's done on the field. But I think what he's done off the field is something I'm most proud of.
What do we got to do to get him into the Hall of Fame, man?
Oh, pray.
I think that's a project that you should be taking on, kind of like Alicia.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people come to me and ask me about that, and I love it. I love the support, and I couldn't agree more. I think, with the resume that he has, I don't see how you can't be in the Hall of Fame. But that being said, it's a lot of work. If someone came to me and said, if you put the effort in, I feel very confident that this could happen. I would do it in a heartbeat. I just don't know if I feel like that's a possibility. That being said, too, I also feel like, and this isn't to take anything away from Jerry, because I absolutely love Jerry Kramer and his family, but I think when Jerry went in, Grandpa went in a little bit with them. I mean, they part of it was a duo, a team, a tandem, and that made me feel like he was part of it.
That's true. That's true. If you got a chance to talk to Alicia or anybody, you probably reached out when he went to the Hall. But if you had a chance to talk to them at all recently,
Not recently. But definitely during that time period, I chimed in a little bit. I knew she was just, that's an overwhelming time, lots of interviews, lots of things going on. But I definitely let her know that I was thinking about her, that, we were excited, and we had planned, to go out there and share that experience. Some things just came about. So I wasn't able to, my Aunt Tori was able to, so someone was there to represent the Thurston family. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't be happier for him, for her, for that whole family. Um, it's a damn shame that it took that long. I don't know what the point of that was, what the Hall situation was there, but he's there. I'm excited for. I wish it would have been earlier. I wish it would have been when my grandpa was around. He would have been just over the moon about that. But he's in, and that's the bottom line.
Right. If you can, and I want to break this up into kind of 2 segments. I want to talk a little bit about Fuzzy, how awesome he was, and we all love Fuzzy. I don't know. Have you ever known anybody, Fred, that ever disliked Fuzzy?
Oof. I'm sure there's a couple Bears fans out there that weren't big fans of him. No, I can't, and that's something that I take with me. I feel like that's something that, I've set out to kind of do the same thing. And then I love being friends with everybody. Being a happy person, that's just who he was. And I think it was infectious,
Right.
and everyone around him felt it and enjoyed it. And yeah, I can't think of anyone in the world, even Bears fans, Vikings fans, everyone, he smiled, he loved life. He lived it to the fullest. And yeah, you just couldn't be around him and not love him.
That's awesome. Now, if you can, share with me maybe, and you've probably been asked this a million times, what is your favorite memory of Fuzzy? I know you said going to the games and that kind of stuff. Is there anything outside of that was a favorite memory?
Man, there's a good amount. I'll give you a couple. One of them was back in the day, pre-renovation of Lambeau Field. We had basically a roll for all of our family that we sat in, and up by the press box there was a little two stairs, a railing, and then you got to go into the press box. He would come out every game at the beginning of the fourth quarter and stand there and wave to us. That we would look over and there he was every game, waved to us, no ifs, ands, or buts. And there's not a single game that I go to even to this day that I don't look over there and think maybe one day I'll just see him there. That was something I always think about with him. The other thing, him coming to a lot of my football games as kids or as a kid, he was always, anytime he could, he would always come to a game. That always meant so much to have him on the sideline and watching and being such a huge supporter of mine. And then, I always think about the one story I always tell people, and this is, I think, the best story to epitomize who he was as a person, was when I was about 10, 11, 12 years old. I was down in Florida visiting him and my grandma, my aunts, my uncles, my dad was there. My mom had stayed back in Wisconsin, and I had a retainer like my son does today. And I had probably lost about 5 or 6 of them. I mean, just, I'd lose them in the lunchroom. I'd lose them going to anywhere in the world. They weren't cheap. Those aren't cheap things to lose. And we weren't, we weren't flush with cash as kids. So it wasn't always easy. And my mom, struggled to do things, but she, always made things happen for us. So when I lost it in Florida. We went out to eat. I must have left it on the table, left it on a napkin. It got tossed in the garbage. So we get back to the condo and, we're talking and hanging out. And my grandma's like, okay, well, where's your retainer? And I realize that it's gone. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just start bawling, just full tears, because all I can think about is, oh my gosh, my mom is going to kill me. She is going to kill me when I come home and realize that I don't have a retainer. So I'm just hysterical, bawling, mad, upset, crying. Next thing I know, I look over and my grandpa, big guy. I mean, we're the 6'2", he's probably 270 at this point. He had put on his post-playing weight. And I just see him just run out the door. And I hear the van, just tires squealing out the garage. And I'm like, what is he doing? So I'm just sitting there. Everyone's trying to console me. Fred, it's okay. We'll buy you a new one. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Next thing I know, again, tires come squealing. Brakes. He comes barreling through the front door. 2 full garbage bags. I mean, industrial-sized black garbage bag, one in each hand, barreling through the door, throws them down in the kitchen, rolls up his sleeves, goes boom, right inside the garbage. No ifs, ands, or buts. He didn't give 2 craps what was in that garbage except for my retainer. He goes in there, gets the retainer, brings it out, washes it, gives it to me. Gross story, right? But to me, that is my grandpa to an absolute T. He would have done anything in this world to make sure that I didn't feel an ounce of pain, sadness, anything. And that, folks, is who Fuzzy Thurston was to a T.
Man, that gives me goosebumps thinking about that. That's awesome.
It's the best. Even when I say it, I still get like teary-eyed because, that's how he always was. Like I said, my mom and I struggled. She was a single mom, worked her butt off. It wasn't easy for her. And I played a lot of sports. I was in soccer, basketball, football, hockey when I was real young. And I, like any other kid, wanted the best cleats, the best of everything. And she couldn't always afford them. But they always ended up on my feet. I always had the best cleats. I always had the best whatever. And it wasn't until I was older that I found out how that always happened. And it wasn't, because of her. And that's not a knock on her, because she's an incredible woman. But Grandpa Fuzzy always made sure that I had the best of the best. And that, again, just he cared about us no matter what. Family was his life for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, a lot of people know you well, Fred. You know, you've been around now in the community. You're a big part of Packers history and that kind of stuff. So you do have to, for me, please, just, we've talked about it a little bit beforehand. You have to hold up that hand and just flash it towards everybody. The 1961 championship ring of your grandfather's. I got to see it. I got to hold it firsthand, and it's an amazing thing to hold on to. And you were just sharing with me beforehand, your dad just recently gave you the 1962 watch, a championship watch of your grandfather's. How awesome is that to wear that every single day?
It's surreal. It's crazy. When you think of what it means and the teams that were a part of it, and just the hard work and the dedication these guys put in, to be the champions and to be able to wear it. When I first got this, I was the 61 ring. I believe I was 27. I was at a Packer game. My dad looked over and he was like, "How big are your hands?" I was like, "I don't know, Dad. Like normal size, I guess. I don't know." And he's like, "Well, here, try this on." And so I tried it on, and he had let me try it on years before, so I thought it was just another thing. And I put it on, and he was like, "Well, it fits." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess it finally does." He's like, "Well, good. You're gonna need to keep it." And I was like, "Okay, thank you." Like I didn't know what to say. Um, and it was real, you know, battered and bruised. It had seen a lot of stuff. There was a little chip here, and it was real dirty. It took me a while to get it clean. I'll tell you that story. But yeah, I mean, it was for months and months and months after I had gotten it. I was like a girl who had just been proposed to, and I'd walk around and I was like, ooh, like, I felt like just, I was so excited. I loved it. I still love it. I wear it every single day. People tell me all the time, "Why do you wear it every day?" Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Why would I not? Like, and they're like, "Aren't you afraid of somebody trying to take it?" And I said, "You can try. You can try. I will fight you to the death for it." Like, and I don't care what you say. I don't care if you're 6 feet bigger than me. It's going to take a lot, because you're going to take a piece of my soul, and I'm going to take something from you if you try. So, but it means the world to me. But when I went and like I said, it was pretty dirty. It was pretty messed up. And I actually had sent it in. It's got a lifetime warranty, and I sent it in to get it fixed and kind of whatever. And when it came back, it had the shine to it, and it's just the most beautiful thing in the world. The 62 watch, that's something special as well, because it was a watch. It wasn't a ring. I don't know how many people still have them, but it's beautiful. It's real beautiful. I need to get a new band for it. I don't know if that's something that I'll wear every day. I'll probably keep that somewhere safe. But weddings, big events, those types of times, I'll definitely put it on.
Now I gotta give you a couple minutes here, and give you a little bit of bragging room. You're a married man to a beautiful,
Happily.
have two beautiful little boys.
Yes.
Share with the world, if you don't mind, for a couple minutes about your family.
Oh man, they're my life. They're the reason I do everything. They're the reason I get up. I know that's cliche, but it is true. My wife Amanda and I met in 7th grade. I saw her walking across the park, and I fell in love with her. It's cheesy and it's movie like, but it's true. And we've always had such a connection, and we've had our ups and downs, and we were together, and then we'd split up, and we'd get back together, and it wasn't until a few years after I had gotten sober that we decided to tie the knot. And she's the best. I mean, she's my rock. I got nothing without her. She keeps me cool. She keeps me sane. She's my yin and my yang, without a doubt. All those things. She's my queen. Um, Ethan, our 12-year-old, handsome dude, big time athlete, big time basketball player, big time football player. Um, great student, great heart, just an incredible kid. He will change the world by changing people's view. I love him to death. He's my dude. And then 2-year-old Charlie, 2.5-year-old Charlie, I should say. Most of you guys know his early life has been quite documented on Facebook. But he's crazy. Named after my grandpa Fuzzy. I was named after him as well, but I have a different middle name. So I'm not technically the second. I know a lot of people think I am, but Charlie is. His full name is Frederick Charles Thurston II. So he is named after Grandpa Fuzzy, and he's got the exact same outlook on life as Grandpa Fuzzy. He just loves everything about life. He is outgoing and funny and charismatic and talkative and super smart, super advanced. And he loves life. He follows me around. I'm his hero, which I love, and that that won't last forever, I'm sure. But he he thinks I'm the coolest man, and I'm gonna take that for all I can, for as long as I can.
Awesome. What do you think, Fuzzy? He would be proud as can be of those boys.
Oh man,
He would have mopped them up, had them on his lap all the time, wouldn't he?
yeah, he was an incredible grandpa. My mom always tells me that when I was born, he pretty much ripped me out of her hands because he was so excited that he had a grandson and everything like that. So he got to meet Ethan when Ethan was a little bit younger. So that was really cool, and that meant a lot to Ethan, and it meant a lot to me as well. Obviously did not get the opportunity to meet Charlie, but Charlie, he lives a little bit through Charlie. I see him in Charlie every day. I see things about him. I see, like I said, his love of life, his strength. Charlie is ridiculously strong. I can hold my arm out and Charlie can latch on and pull himself up. He is 2.5 years old, people, and he is doing pull-ups on my arm. That is insane. And that's all my grandpa was. My grandpa was, if you looked at him, he looked like a normal guy, but the guy was insanely strong. So yeah, they're great. I love them both to death, and I'm beyond blessed. Beyond blessed.
Awesome. Now, Fred, we had talked a little bit beforehand. Fred, I want to take a moment here, and I want to get into some of the things that you are building your own legacy on here in just a minute. But we had spoke beforehand. Are you able to see some of the comments or anything going on in the group?
Yeah, you know what? I thought I could see him here in the page, but I think I got to see him somewhere else. You got a sneaky way to set that up?
Well, what I wanted to get to is I know that you said you wanted to give away some stuff, so I didn't know if you wanted to reach out and give away, a shirt or something real quickly before we jumped into some of the endeavors you have going on.
Yeah, let's do it. I got a couple shirts. You know what? We've got a couple different shirts. We've got the legend. Well, I guess I'm going to do a little bit of that too. So I've got the legendary shirt.
That's an awesome one.
That's a good one. We've got the sweep shirt.
My favorite, the blue.
Classic. Your wife's favorite shirt, the left guard shirt.
Yep.
Classic shirt. And then we've got the newest one from Pride and Glory, the throwback pack with all of the lovely sayings on the back.
I have to say, I have them all. I love them all.
Of course you do. You're the biggest and best contributor to the Pride and Glory, that's for sure.
I need. You got any more of the blue sweep ones?
I sure do.
I got to order some of those this week.
Definitely.
So, who do you want to give something to? This is your time. You pick who you want.
Well, I got to find some comments. That's what I got to find here.
Go through, you could look in the group. There's a bunch of chat going on in the group, as well as on the Go Pack Go page. There's a bunch of people on there as well. And I'm going to just say hello to a couple of them as we're talking here, to James Randolph, good friend, Nancy, Pam Leggett, Jerry Gordon. We have all of our regulars in here tonight. You know that, Fred. You know them all. Joseph McKay.
Oh, yeah. I see it now. Now I'm seeing them.
Okay. Kim
Brian, Jerry McKay, Kathy, Logan Harriman from Altoona, where my grandpa was born. Good guy. Yeah, let's do it. Let's you
even got Chris Jackie on here, man.
Oh my gosh, my mom loved Chris Jackie when he was younger.
Who didn't, man? That hair blowing when he kicked
that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, she used to get so excited when he'd kick a field goal.
I love talking to Chris. He's so fun. He's energetic. He's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic guy. I love what he's doing with player alumni resources. That's exciting for sure. All right, let's do this. How about we I'll give the first shirt out to the first person I see who can tell me where Fuzzy went to college.
Bam. First person in the comments that could that Fred could see. If for some reason it slips by, don't be mad. This is free, guys. Nobody needs to get upset, So first one that you see, Fred, you jump on it. Where Fuzzy went to college. I think I might have seen it.
I see it. All right, Brian. Brian the Schmeege.
Brian
the Schmeege.
That guy's a great guy as well.
Yeah. You know what? He might have all my shirts ready too. I don't even know.
Probably does.
He's a heck of a guy. Heck of a guy.
Now, did you get to meet him at our meet and greet?
Yes. I've actually met with him a few times. He lives in the same area as me. So he does a card show on Saturdays. I've been able to get down to that a few times with him. Just an incredible guy. He actually gave me, trying to see if I could find it. He gave me a really great picture of my grandpa that will be a definite centerpiece behind me at some point here when we get all of my pictures up. But yeah, great guy, incredible guy.
Awesome. Yep. All right. You want to do another one before I get rattling my mouth again, or?
Yeah, we can do another one. Let me just write this down so I don't forget.
Yep.
All right.
Congratulations, Brian.
Yes, Brian. All right, what's the next trivia? Are we gonna do another trivia?
Do another trivia.
All right.
Hey, could I throw one out there?
Yes, please do.
Okay. Everybody knows, and we talked about it beforehand as well. Everybody knows Fuzzy number 63. What number was he with the Colts? The helmet that Fred has on his desk there. Is that okay, Fred?
Yeah, absolutely.
What number was he? And Brian, you already won. You're disqualified. You can't answer anymore. So first one that Fred sees with the correct answer, what number was Fuzzy with, I think I see it, with the Colts?
Ethan
had it right, number 64.
Right out of the bat. Well done.
Yes, awesome. Neil Saunders, you got it wrong, so everybody make fun of Neil. You can laugh at him. You can call him old, whatever you want to. Neil, you messed up. You don't get it. So, hey, and this is your guys' responsibility. If you win something and Fred's cool enough to, provide it to you, it's your responsibility to private message Fred with your shipping information to get that out to you. Brian, you're close enough. You could probably meet up, so save some shipping charges. Is that fair enough?
Hey, let me, absolutely. You guys make sure and send me your stuff. I will get those out to you as soon as possible. Before we do that, just because I think it'll be hilarious and she unfortunately just missed me talking about how great my family is. But my wife just joined. How about everyone say hi to Amanda?
Hello, Amanda. Thank you
That
for
will that
giving.
will make her feel weird.
Let's make her feel a little bit uncomfortable, but let's all say hello. And Amanda, thank you for sharing your husband with us tonight. So everybody say hello to Amanda. Send her some love, guys. Send her some love.
I'm gonna get yelled at for that one.
That's okay. That's all right. I get yelled at all the time. All right. Now, before we move forward, I want to talk about some pretty cool things that you're doing. I posted quite a few links to all the endeavors that you have going on. I saw somebody posted in there, where can we get these shirts at? If you guys don't know by now, you can go to prideandglory63.com. All of Fred's shirts are on there. You need to go pick up these shirts. You need to be representing these shirts. They're awesome. They're great quality. You need to go check out Pride and Glory 63. What do you have to say about Pride and Glory, your website, Fred?
Love it. It's my baby. It's the first thing I really started. It's funny, for a long time I always I loved the t-shirt world. I remember in college I would have my mom send me blank t-shirts, and I would get little stencils, and I would stencil things on with Sharpies in different spots and different stuff like that. And people would come up to me and be like, "Hey man, where'd you get that shirt?" I'm like, "It's like a $5 shirt, and I just stenciled something on it." But I felt like at that point, like maybe I got something going here. And so it wasn't until way later after that I decided, it was after my grandpa had passed away. I was like, man, I got to do something. I got to do something to keep his legacy somehow, some way. I have an avenue here. What can I do? And I spent, a couple weeks just kind of sketching up different designs and things that I thought would be cool. And if you actually go on the Pride and Glory page on Facebook and go into the photos and go way back, you can see some of those drawings, and they're bad. I'm not an artist. I have ideas, but I can't put them on paper. That's what people like Spencer Nolan are for, or Spencer Young, and like Nate Nyman. That's the kind of people you go to for that stuff. But I went to a company and I said, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to put out a bunch of shirts. Can you guys help me kind of make my vision, a thing?" And they did. And the sweep shirt was crazy. That thing, I think I've probably reordered and sold hundreds of those. Same with the legendary. That's been a real big seller. But here's the thing. This is, again, comes back to what I said earlier with Jim. The reason I do this is to keep the legacy alive and to remind people. Because if Tim in Wyoming is walking down the street with a sweep shirt and someone goes, "Hey, that's a cool shirt. What's that all about?" There it goes. That's what I want. If someone in Florida is walking down the street, my mom's in Florida right now on vacation. I don't know if she's watching. If she is, I love you, Mom. But she takes all my shirts. She loves wearing them. My mom wears all my shirts. My dad wears them. If she's wearing a shirt on the beach, she told me the other day, "Hey, that shirt's getting a ton of love here." That's it. I just want the conversation to start. I just want that. That's it. I don't need the money. I don't need the sales. I don't need the notoriety. I just want the conversations to never end.
You got to keep it going. We've talked about it. That's why I have this group, man. It's because, yes, we love Clay Matthews. We love Aaron Rodgers. We love all the guys. But we have to keep the tradition going. We have to keep the legacy. The Fuzzy Thurstons, Jerry Kramer, Marv Fleming, Bart Starr, all of these guys, Curly Lambeau. And it's our job, it's our responsibility of Green Bay Packer cheeseheads to keep that going.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really the basis to everything that I do, and all of my new projects and endeavors. That is the base. That is why I do them. That is what it comes from. And that's what I'm going to keep doing.
Absolutely. I'm going to move on here to you have your Facebook page, the LG63 Foundation.
Yes.
I'm a little new to that. Catch me up to speed on that.
I'm a little new to that too. That's something I started a little under a year ago. The Fuzzy Thurston Foundation. I wanted to have something that I could put a name to and to start helping whenever I can around my community and communities around us, anywhere that I can, really. And so to be able to have a name to attach to that, for instance, Altoona, Wisconsin, which is where my grandpa was born, a small little town. It's rising, but they're doing some things, some booster things, and attempting to build a new sports complex around the Fuzzy Thurston football field. Um, I want to be able to donate and to be able to help through the Fuzzy Thurston Foundation. Eventually, my goal with that, because it's still very new, it's still very early in the stages, is to build that up and be able to do some things that can bring in some money or things like that, and then be able to pass that along to somebody. Perhaps give it to a child for scholarship going to college. One of my favorite things in this world, and what my ultimate dream and desire, and what I love are kids. I love helping kids and being able to see them succeed. I managed to probably make every wrong choice growing up. And I want to be able to help kids not make those choices. And if they feel like they have to make those choices because of their circumstance, I want to show them that there's a circumstance outside that they can maybe look at, that there's an option, a B option or a C option, and that they don't have to be forced to do what they don't want to do. I recently was asked to sit on the board for the Appleton Youth Football Association, which is an absolute dream of mine, because it gets me to be able to work with kids within the football organization and just kids in our area. Because you know what, I love football. I follow it from high school to college to the pros. And I don't want a kid to not have the opportunity to play the sport of football or to think that they can do anything in this world because of what they might have gone through or what they're sitting in right now. So if I can help in any way possible, that is part of it. And the Fuzzy Thurston Foundation will help with that.
That's awesome. If you're not giving, you're not living.
Right.
You have to be willing to give back, and you do that quite often, man.
I try.
All right. Now we have new up-and-coming projects that you're on. Let me bring it back up here. We have, you have the very famous The Sweep podcast, and it is part of the Pack to the Future as well. But tell us a little bit about what you're doing. I know you've been doing the podcast for some time now, but instead of just being at a radio podcast, you're going video now. Tell us about all that.
We're moving up, Jim. I'm moving up.
I hear you, man.
No, I'm real excited. The Sweet Podcast, started 3-4 years ago, as something to just kind of have a platform to kind of talk football. I love the game of football. I love everything about it, and want to be able to kind of talk about it. I couldn't talk to my wife about it anymore. Basically, she was getting sick and tired of it. She kept looking at me and she's like, "Babe, I don't know what a cover 2 defense is. I don't know what the tight end is doing when he's running him out. Like, I don't understand what you're talking about, Fred." So I was like, I got to find a different avenue here. This isn't going to work. So I started, back then it was 22 Sports Talk, and eventually moved into the Sweep. That got picked up by Pack to the Future, Brian Fonfara and a few guys on there. He had contacted me and said, "Hey, I want to start this webpage called Pack to the Future. I want you to be a part of it." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Let's do this." So we've been building that. He's been building it. He's really the focal point. I'm just a part of it a little bit, but he's been building that. We started off with, I think, 2 podcasts and about 6 writers. And now they're up to probably 15, 20 writers and about 7 podcasts. So it's really grown. It's been great. We've seen a couple guys, kind of move on. Dusty Evely, who was one of the original guys. He's with Cheesehead TV now. He moved up. He's an incredible football mind. He breaks down film, just an amazing, amazing talent. And then there's a guy named Matt who went on to Acme Packing Company. So we're all kind of the original crew, if you will, has kind of all started to move on. I know Brian is kind of stepping back. He's actually having his first child in June. So he's wanting to take a step back and focus on fatherhood, which I understand. And he had kind of come to me and asked me if I want to maybe take over Pack to the Future. Extremely humbled, really love that idea. But I kind of was already thinking about maybe stepping away and starting to kind of branch out and really focus on the sweep. So we're kind of in the process of that. I'm still with Pack to the Future. I still will be with them for the foreseeable future. And I still help as a consultant and kind of writing and joining in on podcasts if they need me to. But yeah, the sweep is moving up. As you can see, I finally have my studio. It's pretty much been built. I have this desk, which my wife built. My wife built this because she loves me. All this great Packer stuff. I have a Packer stuff all around. Behind me, when the show starts, you guys will start seeing incredible artwork that I've been holding on to for my entire life, waiting for this moment to have a room to put this stuff in. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, we're moving to video, which is a little terrifying because I can edit audio. I can't edit video. So it's a little freaky to see what's going to happen, and I can't make any mistakes. But my wife told me the other day, she's like, make mistake, be yourself. That's what makes it best. You don't have to be cookie cutter. Do your thing and just be you. And yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about it. So we'll be the sweep will be fully live start of this upcoming season. Start of probably the draft, because the draft is my absolute favorite thing, and it will be hard for me to not get on here and talk about the draft when it's going on.
Could we give just an example? Okay.
Sure.
Now, you see, I get on here and I just talk as friends. I want to know about your wife, your kids. People love to know that. That's kind of what I do. But like Misty, okay, in our group, it's more of the what's happening during the game. She has a great question for you, okay? With having your own podcast and following the Packers, do you think the Packers rebound in 2019? Going into last year's draft and free agency, everyone was wondering what the big move was going to be and if the Packers could go all the way. Do you think that the GM and the new head coach, LaFleur, if I'm saying his name right, I get yelled at all the time for that, coaching staff that they brought into Green Bay, is Green Bay going to be able to capitalize on Rodgers' abilities and bring back the Aaron of the years ago? So that is the kind of question you are great at, where you could dig in and you could talk some real good current football, but even football of the past. Help Misty out in regards to that a little bit. Is that kind of the stuff you're going to be talking about in your podcast?
Yeah, that's a big question. And welcome back, Misty.
She's awesome.
She's good. I'm glad to see her back. Man, you know what? It's going to be, I talked to you a little bit about this earlier, but man, it's the most exciting offseason I think that we've had as Packer fans in quite some time. New coach, new coaching staff, 10 draft picks, a lot of money to play with. And we're kind of at that point, and I've never been a huge proponent of this, but we're kind of at that, got to get some stuff going on here. We're losing time. My outlook on the new GM, love Gutekunst. I think I see a little bit of a fire there. I see a little bit of a badass. I don't know if I can say that, but I see that with him. And I think he's going to go out there and he's going to get what he wants, and he's going to when he wants it. And I like that, but I also think that he's calculated and he has a little bit of that to him, like Ted did. As any new GM does, you're going to see a little bit more aggressiveness early on than you are later in their season or in their career. But love Goody, love what he's up to. I think that we're going to see some exciting things come next week. when free agency starts. March 11th, I believe, is the first day that things can kind of start happening. The 13th is when it officially can happen. Matt LaFleur, love the hire, love him as a coach. Interesting to see what is going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know yet what that relationship's going to be like. I don't think any of us do. The one thing I do think that's going to help that situation is that LaFleur has a very creative mind, but he's also open to change, and he's also open to hearing what I think Aaron Rodgers has to say. And I said this on a podcast the day that LaFleur was hired. I don't think, and this is no disrespect to anyone of older age, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers wanted the older coach. I don't think he wanted somebody that was going to come in and say, well, this is how I do it. You're going to listen, and this is what it's going to be like. Because I think it's just gotten to that point in Aaron Rodgers' career where that's not where he's going to respond the best. So I think where with LaFleur, being able to sit in a room with him, Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, and be able to bounce ideas off each other openly without being able to say, hey, no, I'm the coach. This is how it's going to be. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to bring up some really fun and exciting packages. The one thing that I've consistently said to a lot of fans and people like that is be patient. Don't expect instant success. And it's possible. It's absolutely possible that we come out next year with LaFleur and we just dominate. There's also a very good chance that we stall and we stutter because when you are bringing in a new coach with a new coaching staff, you are talking about a drastic overhaul in the entire environment, practices, playbook, everything. Day to day is completely different. So people have to understand there is got to be a grace period there. The one thing that I like that LaFleur has done early, and this is very minor, but he hasn't really been able to do a lot, is that because he's a new coach, he is awarded a week prior to start with his players and other teams. Right. I've read that he has chosen to forfeit that and to use it going directly into camp and into preseason so that there's no week off or no, inconsistent. It's just a straight ride right into the season so that players are fresh and ready to rock. I love that. I think that's awesome. I think that is the right decision. And it shows that he wants to come in here, get the ball rolling and go. That being said, there's obviously an opportunity for us to be great because we have number 12. And I think that is what we've been saying for a very long time. So it's going to be fun. I'm very interested to see where we go in the free agency game. I know that he says he wants to be very active. There are I think a lot of really good options out there that are in positions that we need. And I think that will then depict what's going to happen in the draft. People ask me all the time, well, who are we going to draft? I don't know. Let's go through free agency first. They could easily pick up 7 edge rushers in free agency. Well, then we might not need one in the draft. Right. So we got to wait on that, but I'm excited. I'm excited for the change. I've also said to people, let's look at it like this. We have the greatest, if not top 1 or 2 quarterbacks in the league. We have top 3 left tackle in the league. We have top 3 receiver. I don't care what anyone says. Devontae Adams is there. He's here, baby. Get used to it. Absolutely. And we have arguably the top 5 best and upcoming running back in Aaron Jones. That is explosive. Yeah. That is a good, you name another team that has that kind of caliber of talent at those positions. Those are the most important ones on an offense. So I love where that's sitting. Defensively, obviously, I know we have some holes, and I think that we're going to see that, taken care of in free agency and the draft. But you go after a couple guys in free agency, and you change the dynamic of that entire roster quickly.
See, Fred, this is where it's great. You could sit down, you could talk football all day long. Me, I get emotional about it. I want to call him Mr. Broken Collarbone. I want to yell at Clay Matthews for flipping his hair around. I get emotional in regards to that. You could talk logic, but instead I'm throwing stuff at the TV. So I don't comment anymore in the group in regards to that kind of stuff because I get too emotional. So you're perfect at it.
No, you know what? And that's fair. I think if you're not getting emotional, then what are you doing? You're not really a true fan. I get very emotional. I just try not to show it too much, but you can ask my wife and kids. I'm a very emotional. I go into lockdown mode about an hour before every game. Back in the day, I used to throw up before a lot of games because I got so nervous, especially playoffs and going into those types of games. It means a lot to me. The Packers mean a lot to me. I love this team. I love everything about it. So I'm very invested in it. But yeah, there's definitely issues. I mean, there's things that I get very frustrated with. I am not a very big fan of Clay Matthews, and I make that very well said on my podcast. I think that, I know that he's handsome and he looks like Thor and everyone loves his hair and his abs and stuff like that. That's cute. But when it comes to the production on the field, it hasn't always been there. I thought he had a good year last year, a better year than he's had. But it was also a contract year, and I don't usually put a lot of stock into those. There's a lot of guys that frustrate me. Nick Perry, I don't know where he's been in the last 5 years. There's some issues for sure. And the way that Aaron Rodgers played last year, I think there's a lot of question marks there on what his agenda was, if you will, almost. But the bottom line is that year, 2018 is done. We're on to 2019, and this is the year that matters. We're starting over. Let's go. Let's make sure that it happens, and hopefully, it is what it is. James just asked, what about Perry? Will he be gone? Please. The fact that guy got paid a 5-year contract and only played one full season is absolutely astonishing to me. It's a shame. And I've also vocally been a very big fan of Ted Thompson. I know a lot of people are not. And I will admit that his last few years, he made some very questionable calls, and I don't know if he was there. But I think something about the Green Bay Packers that I love, but I also think cripples them sometimes, is their undying loyalty to their players and coaches. And I think sometimes they hold on maybe just a little too long. McCarthy, Ted, I think probably could have been gone a few years ago.
I think everybody.
And so it's kind of sad. But when you look at Ted's overall work and what he was able to bring in and what he did for the time that he was Ted, incredible, absolutely incredible. We never had a single salary cap issue for the last decade. He drafted some pretty incredible people, and he also was extremely methodical in what he did when it came to free agency. He brought Charles Woodson here, which is enough to basically be Charles Woodson is my favorite player outside of my grandpa. So the fact that he did that, I'm good.
What do you think of, I think last year, 2 big names that stuck out to me was Kenny Clark and my boy in Utah, Kyle Fackler. His name. I thought he was incredible. He was a beast.
Yeah, and it's funny about that is that, first of all, I'll touch on Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark is the next thing. You were talking about a 22-year-old guy, and he's been in the league for 3 years. I mean, that's kind of insane. I don't know if that's exactly. I think he's 22 or 23. That's incredible. His upside is going to be great, and I think his pairing with Mike Daniels is going to elevate again this year. As for Kyler Fackrell, if you go back on any of my shows a few years ago, and then this year and even the year before, huge Fackrell fan. I have been a big promoter, always, hold on, just wait, maybe this year. And it felt really good for him to be great this year and be like, yes, like I stuck with him. And it's on there. That's the beauty thing about podcasts is when you're right, it's on reel, or it's on tape, or whatever you want to call it. It's recorded. It's also, if you're wrong, it's recorded. But that was one that I'm excited about. Now, what really is going to matter is, can you capitalize off of what you did last year? That will be the big thing. And I think even Kyler was a little taken by surprise at how good his season was, because he was incredible.
He found his rhythm, and let me again say Utah, and then let me say Utah with our BYU boy. No, he's not Aaron, but you got to admit, number 30 did pretty darn well himself when he was able to, step into place when Aaron had his troubles early on.
Yeah, I was a huge Jamal Williams fan when we drafted him. I was like, he's the guy. He is your Amon Green type running back. He can barrel through you. He can run around you, catch out of the backfield. Love him. And then Aaron Jones came in like a freaking lightning bolt and won us all over. I'm still sticking with Jamal Williams, though. I still love him. I think he came in, like you said, when Aaron went down and showed us what he can do. And it kind of just comes back to the point I had said it before. Not only do we have a top 5 up-and-coming running back, but a top 2 running back combo. And if you look at what Matt LaFleur was able to do last year in 1 year with Derrick Henry and Deion Lewis in Tennessee, that can very well happen as well here in Green Bay. And I could see Jamal Williams really I could see him, it's going to be a hot take here, but I could see him end up with more yards than Aaron Jones next year.
Okay, you heard it first right there, guys.
Right here.
I have to throw in there, Chris Jackie says UTEP strong for Aaron. They went to that same college over there.
Yeah.
So, got to represent.
Texas El Paso, baby.
Yep. So, I don't want to take all your night. I don't want Amanda coming down on me.
No.
But I think everybody needs to. I went and I put all the links on there. If you're not liking the Sweet podcast, if you're not part of Pride and Glory Facebook, if you're not part of the PTT F podcast Facebook group, the LG63 Foundation, and visiting Pride and Glory 63, you're not doing it right. You have to go like all these pages. You have to follow. You have to be part of the podcast to be a true Green Bay Packer fan. I'm going to put it out there. If it makes people mad, so be it. What do you think, Fred?
Go for it.
What other shirts you want to give away? And I want to bring up something else while you're grabbing some shirts or writing stuff down, is that you guys all love the helmet mug that we just produced. You guys got to keep in mind, this guy right there, Fred Thurston, is the one that came up with the idea, and he got Spencer Young to create it. And so Fred and I, been able to come up with that helmet mug to represent Fuzzy Thurston. And so you guys need to thank Fred for that, because he was the main contributor in regards to that helmet design.
Yeah, that was another one of those crazy visions, and Spencer was able to put it out there. I absolutely love it. You brought up honoring my grandpa, but that helmet is honoring Green Bay Packer football to the absolute T. I mean, you got everything on there, from Cheesehead to the Super Bowls to everything like that. I want to say that not only did you send me the one, which I am in love with, and it will be my podcast mug, but you sent me 63. Absolutely. 63 out of 100. So very thoughtful, very, very appreciative of that. Absolutely love it. But yeah, let's give away another shirt.
Awesome. I want to real quickly as well. I have a good friend, Kevin Rainey. I want to give out a mug to Kevin Rainey just for always being part of our group and always being a great member of our community. So Kevin, get in touch with me. I'm going to send you out one of those mugs. I just saw your name pop up. But Fred, who you want to give out? How many more you got that you want to give out? And people, if he's giving these out, you have to go like his page. You have to go follow the sweep. If not, you're in big trouble. Plain and simple.
Trouble. Big trouble.
Give it
All right, let's give one more out. Let's think of a good question here.
You
Trying
know,
to think of
Chris
a really good one.
Chris Jackie got number 13 mug.
Oh, as he should have.
Marv Fleming got
Oh,
81.
nice. How's Mark Fleming, by the way?
He's good. He's good.
Great guy.
Marv, he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
All right. Let's do hmm.
I gotta, and sitting here thinking about that Wisconsin helmet, I have a couple things that I'm going to be reaching out to some Wisconsin fans that were sent to me. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I have a couple things that I'm going to be hitting over the head here that Wisconsin fans, I had some memorabilia sent out to me that I'm going to be giving away, and I'm not going to mention the person's name yet, but Wisconsin, great football team. They're no USC and they're no Brigham Young University, but they're a great football team.
You know what? I'm a diehard Badger fan. I went to school in Madison for. I lived in Madison for about 7 years. It is my my dream, my absolute dream place to live. I love it. My dad actually played football for the Badgers. He was a running back in the late 70s, early 80s for the Badgers. He was a hell of a football player. Probably would have been better than my grandpa, which is a pretty tall task, but yeah, great football player. But yeah, let's give away another shirt.
Okay. Who are you giving it to? What is it, trivia? You just giving away?
I'm going to give it away to Pam.
Pam Leggett?
Yep.
Pam Leggett. Awesome. Awesome. Pam, you got to get a hold of Fred. Which shirt is she getting?
She gets a choice. They can choose between the left guard, the sweep, or legendary.
Nice.
So you guys just message me, let me know what your size is and stuff like that. Shipping information, and we'll go from there for sure.
Cool. What is that? 3 shirts you've given away?
3 shirts.
That's incredible. It's incredible.
Hey, you know what? I love it, man. Like I said, to start the conversation, that's the most important thing.
Cool. What else you want to throw out there, Fred? I want you to let these people know we appreciate you being on our group, and you've been a great friend to me. I remember you taking us. What was that? Was it Lombardi Steakhouse in Appleton?
Yeah. Yeah.
Take us there, close behind the scenes, and take us through there and look and take as many pictures of all the memorabilia in there. I sure appreciate that, and that was a fun experience.
Yeah, that place is an absolute trip. If anyone ever gets to Appleton, make sure and check that place out. It's at the Radisson Hotel, where all of the opposing teams stay when they come to play. But yeah, Vince Lombardi Steakhouse, it has just a plethora of Vince's own memorabilia from his attic, just covering the walls. Pictures, trophies, hand-drawn plays, everything. Anything, letters from John F. Kennedy, just incredible. Absolutely incredible. So if you're a fan of the Packers, a fan of Vince especially, make sure you check that place out. Awesome place. I worked there for a couple of years. That was a trip. Loved every minute of that. But make sure and check them out for sure. We also went to the Hall of Fame. Our families got together and did that. So that was a lot of fun. I'm actually going to be going to the Hall of Fame on Saturday. My father-in-law has a friend coming in from California, Southern California too, actually. And on his bucket list, he wants to go to Lambeau. So I will be going there on Saturday, which I can go to Lambeau 50 times a year. I love going there, love being there. So I'm excited about that. Always good to be there. Yeah. Anything else? Any questions? I know I haven't really been answering much any people's questions. I saw.
They love to hear the stories, man. They love to hear the stories, you know. Uh, and I love it, the fact that, and I've said it over and over again, that Fuzzy Thurston meant the world to us, but you are carrying on in Fuzzy's tradition by doing your own thing. For one, you know, Fuzzy would be very proud of you, and you have done it in a classy Packer kind of way, you know, and I think that's the main thing. And we have to all continue to strive. You heard me talk about it with Steve Tate. You know, we all have to be striving to step outside that comfort zone of what we hide behind of regular society and being negative and that kind of stuff. And you're doing it by giving and your time, your resources, your money, and that kind of stuff. And it's what will change this world and make it a better place, man. So you're a perfect example of it.
Yeah, it's, you know, I feel incredibly blessed. It's so weird. Amanda always brings this up, but she's like, you know, people think that you're famous, and I'm not famous. I am not. I am far from it. I am just a normal guy who just happened to be blessed to be, you know, Fuzzy Thurston's grandson. So I feel like it is, you know, it's a duty of mine to repay that and to show people that, one, I'm not any better than you or anyone else, and I'm just as big of a fan as anyone else, and I'll sit with anyone on any day and talk football. And if you ask 95% of the people who have met my grandpa, that's what they'll say. They'll say he sat there at the end of his bar and let me try his ring on and talked football for an hour with me. He never felt that way. He never looked at himself as being bigger. You know, he was a small town kid from Altoona who, you know, got drafted into the NFL, and eventually through a bunch of different trades made his way to Green Bay, his hometown team, and was able to ride the wave of just insane success over a decade. And he feels so grateful for that experience, that he always wanted to share that with people. That's why in my entire life, I had never once, and this is not an exaggeration under any sense, never once did I see him turn down an autograph. We could be out at family dinner, we could be going to church, we could be doing anything. He always gave out an autograph because he never felt that he was better than anyone. He loved it. Oh, believe me, he loved always the attention, but he never felt like he was bigger than anybody. And what I've always said about him is he's a fan's fan. He is a fan of the fans.
And I hate to say, you could say you're not a celebrity or whatever the case may be, but I remember the first shirt I got from you in the mail. Fred always sends out a little invoice or receipt, and it had Fred's autograph on there. And I remember sitting looking at that thing, and I was like, man, I got Fred Thurston, the grandson of Fuzzy Thurston's autograph right here. Your guys' signature is very, very close, for one thing. And I thought that was pretty cool. You had that little special touch. Me, I'm throwing something in a box real quick. There's some trash in there with it. I'm sending it off. Here, guys, here's your shirt, whatever the case may be. Leave me alone. But you do it classy.
Well, you know what? Here's I'm a little bit of a chronic online shopper. My wife does not love that, but I like to buy little things. I don't go crazy and spend a ton of money, but I like it. And when I started Pride and Glory, I thought to myself, of all the things I've ordered online, you know, what were little things that companies did that I loved? What were something that I thought when I got the package, hey, that's nice. You know, was it a sticker? Was it an invoice with a signature? Was it just a little card that said thank you? Was it, you know, whatever? So for a very long time, I loved, you know, putting in the invoices and signing them. I'd throw in a little wristband. because it's fun, you know. It's you open up a package and you got a little bit of love there. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Mine, when I sign those golden tickets or something, my diabetes, I got that shake going on, so they don't want to see mine.
Yeah, you know what? It was there's definitely a little bit of I don't want to say copying, but I definitely got my signature style from my grandpa, especially with the F's and the T's and stuff like that. You know, I've seen it my whole life, and you know, I always thought, man, that's such a cool signature. I love the way his signature is. I love the F. I love the Z's. He really signs it cool, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna come up with my own and kind of do something similar but a little different. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. So
Will you do us a favor, and we'll end this in just a minute, but if you can, tonight or tomorrow sometime, just go back through. If we've missed any questions, answer them to some of the people out there, because I'll tell you, they sure love you.
yeah, for sure. You know what, I was actually just looking at some of the questions from earlier, and I wanted to just quick answer one of them. I mean, there was a bunch, and I'll definitely go through them. But Mr. Randolph asked how many Packer games I had been to, which is a great question. And you know, it's funny. I believe I started going when I was about 8 years old, and I believe, I can't fully confirm this, but I believe I definitely think this is what it was. But my first ever game was the Lambeau Leap, the first game that Leroy Butler went up. And because that was the game that my grandpa was the honorary captain for. It was the day after Christmas. We all got up as a family and went, and it was bitter, bitter cold. And when we got done, he was doing the coin flip. And when we got done with the coin flip, they had asked us, hey, do you guys want to go up in the box or do you want to go in the stands? And I was, I think, 8 years old. And I was like, no, man, I'm going in the stands. Like, I want to be with the fans. Like, this is my first game. Like, I got to be with the people. And it was so cold. My hot chocolate froze. Everything I tried to, take froze, but I stayed. I stayed in the stands and loved every single minute of it. And, I've been to a ton of games. I've actually kept almost every single ticket from every game that I've gone to. I'm sure there's a couple that I lost in a drunken spur at some point. But there's a table that I have in the corner here in my office. That was my grandma's. It's a triangle and it's glass. And I had this huge stack of tickets about this big. And I was like, I thought maybe, I can make a really cool tabletop, or I could make a really cool, and she's like, just lay them all on the bottom. So we laid them all on the bottom, and I mean, there's a ton. And actually, Ethan came in the office the other day, and he looked at it, and he's like, oh, that's so cool. But yeah, I would say maybe 100, maybe 200. I don't know. It's been a lot. I've been extremely blessed to be able to go to a lot of games. My grandpa kept 2 tickets in our name, in each one of our names for life. So we always have that. And it's an absolute blessing. If I can't go to the game, I make sure and always, look for somebody to give my tickets to. Last year, I gave my tickets to my brother-in-law, and he actually took a veteran who had never been to a game, and he told me that, and I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted you to say. So that was really exciting, and that makes it worth it. But yeah, I mean, I've been to a lot of games. I've been kicked out of a couple games, which is classic. I've missed a couple games. I've gotten to go on the field probably about 15 or 20 times. Back when they would do alumni games, they would let us on the field, family and stuff like that. And I always got to go down. And man, when you realize how big some of those guys are, it's incredible. One of the games actually, I'll never forget it. I was on the sideline, and Amon Green had broken a run, and he was coming down the left sideline, and he was barreling. I mean, arms pumping, his freaking thighs, and he was just dead on. And I could have reached out and touched him. And I just remember at that point, being like, man, this is something else. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. I've been insanely blessed in my life, and I can't thank my grandpa enough for all the things that he's allowed me to do. It's crazy.
Awesome. Awesome. One last thing, when we
Yep.
have our meet and greet again, our meetup, will you be there? I know Chris Jackie already committed to me. Marv Fleming said he would be there. Will you be there?
If Chris Jackie's going, I'm going.
Okay. All right.
I'm just kidding. Of course I'll go. You gotta let me know when. And yeah, I loved it. I loved it last time. It was a ton of fun. And there's so many great people in this group. I that have been here for years. And I love them. I love them all. They're great. They've always been great supporters of me and been supporters of my family. And I love them. There's a lot of good ones. You got a lot of good ones working for you.
Yes. All right. Well, then, everybody go to his website, go to his Facebook pages, like him, share him. I expect everybody in this group, 30,000 plus, to go buy a T-shirt tonight from Fred. And Fred, I love you, brother. I appreciate your time. I'm going to just break a little bit of news real quickly. Thanks to Kathy Conway, we're going to have Tom Crabtree going live with us here within the next month. If you guys don't know Tom, he was part of Super Bowl 45, tied in with Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be going live with us. And I am still going to be bugging Wayne Sargent. You guys know Wayne Sargent. He's an awesome guy, great friends with Steve Tate, and we have a few other people lined up. And I know that we could bug Fred quite often to come back in and go live with us again.
Yeah, anytime in the world you want me on, I'll come on. I love it. I love you. I love your family. Please give my love to your kids and your wife. I love this group, and yeah, it's a pleasure. Absolutely, I'm glad we were able to do this.
I'm telling you, we need to do one with Chris Jackie, with you, with a bunch of us on there, and just have a good time. So I'll talk to Chris, and let's just all get on the same page and have fun with it.
Absolutely.
Okay, brother. Well, you know how we do it, man. We say it loud and we say it proud.
Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. Fred, thank you for your time, man. Everybody have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon, Fred.
Love you guys.
Love you, man.